Welcome to Talking Tactics, a show about insights and the results they ignite. I'm Sophania Stevenson, a brand strategist and cultural analyst in the wonderful world of marketing. And every other week, I dig into the aha moments that changed everything for a higher education marketer. Each episode of Talking Tactics starts with an insight, following it from observation to action that created measurable results. We're talking about the breakthrough moments that happen with scrappy resources, and sometimes we'll even explore the tactics that, crashed and burned, because there's also value in trial and error. Your next innovative idea might be hiding in your data, your hallway conversations, or your own gut instinct. So let's get to it. Howdy, folks. We are back with another installment of Talking Tactics. Your host, Safi, here. And you know what? For this episode, I just decided to go to my backyard. And today's guests are going to talk about how you get the biggest return on investment with keynote speakers by turning keynotes into curriculum. So here from NC State's College of Humanities and Social Sciences, we have Nash Dunn, Director of Communications and Marketing, and Allie Bluhm-Whitley, Assistant Director of Communications. Hey, guys.
Hey, Safi.
Hi.
So how are you all feeling? We know that we had Mr. Alton Brown in the house and sold out show. Have you guys recovered from the big fanfare?
We have indeed. It's been it's been a couple weeks, but I think we're finally getting over that hump. We feel like there is a weight off our shoulders.
Tell us a little bit about this speaker series and where the idea came from.
So for the past 2 or 3 years, we have been working on a brand refresh project at the college level in tandem with the brand refresh that's been going on at the university level too. And so this new event series that we started, the Human Factor Speaker Series, was part of our brand activation strategy that we put together from this brand refresh work that we've been doing. And it really started with 2 main goals. We really wanted to refine and grow our brand as a college. We are a liberal arts college at a STEM-intensive university. And so it's very important for us to identify and be distinct about our brand. And that's something that we've never really spent a whole lot of time on in the past, to be honest. And so we embarked on this project to start a new premier speaker series for the university, where we would bring in a big speaker once a year, have them focus on a big topic, and develop a event model that not only helps us grow our audience and reach new people, but engage with all the different stakeholders that we have as a university, which I know a lot of the folks listening to this probably understand that, all the different audiences and groups we have to reach. And so that's what we set out to do.
So when you all took Food in the Future, and built basically this entire ecosystem around it, right? You guys went from 700 people in-person event to now activating and creating curriculum around alumni panels to service week partnerships. How do you go from having one singular keynote opportunity and creating these different activation points, but also reinforcing that theme across, like you said, lots of different audiences? Because we're talking about the folks who paid just to see Alton talk about food, which, I get it. I would too. Students, alumni, and like you said, that rebrand of the internal NC State CHAS. How do you plan all those activation points?
Yeah, I think that was the key. That was probably the most difficult part as we got started building this model. Was we know we want to reach alumni. We know we want to reach prospective donors. Those are our 2 target primary audiences. But we don't want to forget about all the other stakeholders that we have going on and that we interact with as a college. And so we worked with the university special events team to build a model that focuses and revolves around this cornerstone event where we bring in our keynote speaker. This was Alton Brown for the big event. This is our signature event of the year as a college, but also build in ancillary events that expand on that theme with those different groups that we talked about. So for example, this year we have a service week where we are engaging mostly with students, faculty, and staff, and providing them with opportunities to do service volunteering with different food-related organizations in the Raleigh area. So we have 130 folks that are signed up to do those service volunteer opportunities starting this week. We have an alumni panel of different alums who work with food in some ways. Most of them are chefs or work in the restaurant industry, but we also have entrepreneurs as part of that group. That is really for alumni and donors as well. So another way to engage with alumni, not only for our college, but across the university. And then also, we're connecting with curricula, as you mentioned. We have a food as communication event in December where one of our communication faculty members has challenged her students to work on food projects. And there's a whole display that they're putting together in December where they're exploring how does food relate to communication, community, culture, and creativity, this theme that we were really trying to delve into. So that's just this fall. And then I'm almost out of breath mentioning all these things. And then there's, and then in the spring, we're doing what we call a learning lounge, which is a informal way to connect our thought leadership in the college with a whole range of audiences, from alumni to students, faculty, even parents and prospective students. We try to align our events sometimes with prospective student events that are happening on campus. And so we have our food scholars that'll be talking at that event, that learning lounge event, and they'll be talking about their work.
And Allie, I know that, you man a lot of those kind of like channel management and strategy. How do you get this event effectively in front of all the different audiences that you're trying to reach? Because again, we're talking about ticketed events versus students versus even, like you said, the like professors and faculty internal who might have an idea to say, I want to raise my hand and opt in to do something food related. How do you manage the channels and how are you getting this information out to folks?
Email, social media, those are two of our biggest channels that we use to get the information out to people. It really depends on our segment as well that we're aiming for. If we're trying to get the information to students, we're using obviously email, but social media is a bigger target for them. We also use our billboard screens that are these screens that are located in different buildings across campus that we can add slides to that students are seeing as they walk by. It kind of adds to the consistency of the communication. They just see those in their environment as they're going about their day. When we have others that want to get involved, we try to find holes within our programming that they could be a part of. I think that's where a lot of the Learning Lounge topics are going to come from. Faculty who already know this kind of stuff and they want to share that knowledge that they have with wider audiences that they don't always get to talk to, like alumni and prospective donors. Plugging them in where we know that they can fit and we still are reaching our goals and not complicating the message.
We also, for our main speaker event, we did some advertising as we were planning this. This is our first year, our inaugural year, as you mentioned. So we weren't sure how much we would need to budget for advertising. And so we budgeted a lot more than we ended up needing, which was a good thing. We actually had to end up canceling a couple of ad buys that we had.
Because you guys ended up being sold out, right? For the actual...
Yeah, we sold out in a couple days, which was our biggest surprise. It was a good surprise, but we did do some advertising, and I think the one that moved the needle the most was the alumni magazine. So we did a print ad in the alumni magazine, and we saw a lot of interest in that. And now that we're getting some of our survey data back, it's always hard to measure like the effectiveness of print advertising, but a lot of folks are telling us they learned about it through the alumni magazine. And was again, the target audience we were trying to reach. So on the advertising front, that's mainly what we did. And we did a couple of radio buys as well with the local NPR affiliate in Raleigh, WUNC. And some sponsored emails through WUNC too.
Oh, yeah. So you guys got really impactful marketing pieces because those are just highly viewed, highly consumed placements. So I'm not surprised those tickets sold out in a few days. I know that if I heard about Alton Brown coming, I would have been like, immediately sign me up.
Right. And we're hoping some of this interest came from the fact that there's not a premier speaker series at NC State. And there's not really a similar comparable speaker series in the Raleigh or Triangle area.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not offending some of our fellow
Ooh,
institutions down the road. And maybe
I heard some radios click off. They're like,
shots
wrong.
fired. But, but we're trying. I mean, I do think, our series, I think, does a good job. I'm saying it like we've done this for 10 years. But in the first year, I think we did a good job.
It feels like 10 years worth of work.
It does. It does. That's true. But I think in the first year, it did a really good job of blending entertainment value with cerebral programming that makes you think deeper about critical issues. And so, I probably didn't do a great job of setting this up earlier on, but this series really is all about looking at one critical issue or topic every year through the lens of the humanities and social sciences and the human experience, and exploring that and showing how the human experience is at the core of almost every pressing issue that we're facing. And so, for this year, it was really important for us to focus on food. One, because it's a topic that brings people together, and it's fairly nonpartisan, and everyone can connect to it, right? And it does have a lens through which you can look at food, as a social construct, as a source of culture and creativity. That's what we want to do every year with this series: is pick a topic or an issue like that and explore it, and show how the humanities and social sciences are so essential to understanding it and developing solutions.
Let's take a quick pause for a word from our sponsor. Southeast Missouri State University needed to launch more targeted campaigns faster, yet they were bogged down by manual campaign builds, slow approvals, and vendor overload. With Element 451, they eliminated 5 vendor tools and gained marketing superpowers in one platform. They saw a 13% increase in applications, processed applications within 2 days, and achieved 33 to 35% email open rates. The impact? Personalized, automated campaigns running at scale, without the drag. Ready to turn your next campaign around in hours, not weeks? Try an agent today at element451.com/agents. And I also think that, I know we had shots fired saying, "Hey, we're the keynote kings and queens around here." But I think one of the things that makes it elevated experience is the fact that you are able to hear these keynotes, hear from these speakers, but because it's in a university setting and you're creating activation and programming around it, you're able to get involved. Like if you're going to a keynote anywhere else, or if, for instance, you really don't get that experience unless you're at a conference of some sort, right? Like you hear someone speak and they might have a happy hour or a workshop or a training that might be attached to one or two of the big headliners. But for the most part, you're in a chair, you hear them, and then you leave. But with what you all are doing in NC State right now is you get to hear the opportunity, or you get to hear the speaker and then have an opportunity to engage, have a conversation with a faculty member who is enthralled in food, or you get to hear about a student's paper or student research that's happening. Or if you don't want to do anything academic at all, you can volunteer and be civically engaged in a way. So I think that is really what's unique about it, is you're taking this keynote and you have all these, I would say, like tentacles of like return on investment, where it's not, hey, yeah, especially when you're thinking, and you don't have to say a price tag out right now. You don't have, please don't. But I imagine getting Alton there was very expensive for the university, but to know that you get that return from a student and community investment, like that makes it worth the while.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head, Safi. And that's definitely our dean pushed us really hard, right? And saying, I don't want this to just be something people go to for an hour and a half and they leave, and sure, they had a good time, but that's it, right? She wanted us, she pushed us to think of a model that does extend this throughout most of the academic year. And so that's, absolutely. And another thing that you mentioned that we've loved about this, it's helped us grow partnerships very organically, both on campus and off, because of those different ancillary events and programming that we're doing. So, for example, at the for the main event, we had a VIP reception precede the main event with Alton Brown. That was for donors and other folks who purchased VIP tickets. Our event producer, which we should have mentioned her from the get-go, Emily Sartori, who is my co-director for the series and did
We got you, Emily.
shout out Emily, times 10. Emily did a fantastic job curating a really cool menu for the VIP reception and working with campus dining to connect it to our theme and have different food stations at the VIP reception. And Allie helped me out here. We had like food as creativity. We had food and poetry, where there was a whole dessert spread with different desserts.
I am so sad. I missed this. I am so sad right now.
There were bugs, I think, that were consumed as part of like a food and
Allie, did you eat a bug?
Whether luckily or not, I'm not sure. I did not get the chance to eat a bug, but there were plenty of bugs to eat. There was also mozzarella ice cream. That was another one. We had a bunch of different types of chicken and rice. I wish I had seen that station a little bit more.
If folks out there do not know about the epic level of ice cream that comes out of NC State and their cows that they have on campus, when I heard mozzarella ice cream, I was like, oh, I know it was delicious. I've never had a bad scoop of ice cream at NC State my entire 10 years of living in Raleigh.
Howling Cow ice cream. Shout
out to Howling Cow.
Very true.
It's really good. There's a farm and everything. It's good stuff.
I feel like it'd be wrong for me not to also mention the ancient beer that was present at the VIP event as well.
Allie, you want to talk some about that partnership with Trophy Brewing?
Yeah, we're able to partner with a local brewery, Trophy Brewery, where we were able to have one of our faculty members recreate an ancient beer recipe from Mesopotamia. It was written on these cuneiform tablets, and they are able to kind of see the ingredient quantities to kind of re-engineer these old recipes. And so our faculty member, along with Trophy, created an ancient beer for our guest at the VIP event to try, as well as on stage at the event. We had our dean and Alton trying some ancient beer.
So I heard it was sour. Bugs, and ice cream, right?
The holy trifecta, right?
What more could you need?
So I know, and a little bit of backstory here too is I had the privilege a few years ago to help and be a part of, the NC State CHAS and where the brand is, and just really hearing, like you said, from the dean and what she wanted to do with the school. Can you tell us a little bit about, we talked about continuing to tie the role of liberal arts and social sciences and into a STEM-focused institution. So when you're designing programming around speakers and themes, how are you making sure that you intentionally connect? Because, we can experience the ice cream, we can experience the beer or the service day, but how are you all ensuring that people are actually connecting that work back to, hey, this is work from the humanities and social sciences. This is a part of what we do. How are you all creating and connecting those messages from the experience to why investing and supporting that school within a STEM-focused school is important?
That's the real challenge, I think, right? And constant conversations throughout this whole, experience have been, well, that would be really fun, but how can we make sure we're tying that back to CHAS, exactly as you said? And I think it's in a few ways. One is the topic itself that we choose for each installation of this series, I think is really important. And so we were very intentional in choosing food. Yes, because it's fun, right? And because it does have the ability to bring people together, but also because it's a topic that you don't automatically associate with the liberal arts or the humanities and social sciences. During this process, we did hear from a few folks across campus a couple of times, what's CHAS doing with food? Isn't that something that's for agriculture and life sciences or the sciences? And so we do have expertise in the college when it comes to food studies. We have a strong collection of food scholars, but also faculty who, even if they're not food scholars, they do work connected to food through study abroad or through other tangential connections to their scholarship. And so we have that base of expertise here that we can demonstrate and display through a series in our ancillary programming. Another thing we can do, or that we tried to do to make that connection back to CHAS, is through the actual structure of the Alton Brown programming. So we set it up into 3 different segments: the show, the actual on-stage show, food and creativity, food and community, and food and culture. And in each one of these segments, especially the latter 2, food and community and food and culture, we integrated folks from the CHAS community on stage into those segments with Alton and our dean. So our dean, Deanna Daniels, Dean Daniels, she moderated the whole conversation with Alton on stage.
So you get to like physically see left brain, right brain by having.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like we had for food and community, we had one alum, Maggie Kane, who started Raleigh's first Pay What You Can cafe.
Oh, yeah.
She came on stage with Alton, and she was joined by Stevie Commit, who is a PhD student in sociology and also happens to run the on-campus food pantry, Feed the Pack food pantry. And so they both talked about their work and its connections to the theme. And then for the food and culture segment, as Allie mentioned, one of our history professors, Tate Paulette, came on stage with Trophy Brewing's brewmaster Les Stewart, and they talked about their brewing collab and making this ancient beer, and also, you know, the historical significance of beer and how it's always brought people together and how it can continue to do that today. And it's important and role not only culturally, but in a communal sense. So those are ways that we try to integrate it into our programming. And then of course our ancillary events where we can make that jump a little more easily, right? Because those are more traditional, quote unquote, traditional events that we would hold throughout the year.
And so someone who may be listening to this, because, you know, we have speakers that we book for our universities or for our individual colleges, as they're like, man, this is a really good idea to, again, turn these keynotes into curriculum. What were some of your biggest takeaways or learning for, and that can be across booking, talent management, including different departments and faculty, including students? What were some of your biggest learnings so that people, you know, hey, Allie and Nash walked so we could run advice?
I think listening to the people who know what they're doing was really important for us. We worked with a lot of partners who have either done similar events or activities before. So we were able to bring all of those groups together, including like our production company, Trophy Brewing, Feed the Pack Pantry. We were able to bring all those groups together and really make those connections that we were trying to. And so listening to those people bring their expertise forward was so important to us because we could basically show the connections, but they were the ones who were having to give us the content.
The booking process was totally new for us at the college level. Our university special events team has done this some, and so they were great partners in this, as was our event producer, Emily. But I think that's something we're still learning because I think there's a bunch of different paths you can go down to book somebody, right? You could go to work with a speaker agency, and that's kind of the maybe more traditional route. Work with an agent to identify possible speakers. They help you negotiate the price and the terms and all that jazz. You could go to someone who has a new book coming out, right? And try to work with their book agent to say, hey, maybe this is a stop on their book tour, or if we buy a certain number of books, maybe we could have them come in and talk. And so we're still trying to figure that part out. And I don't know if there's like a clear path or way to do that. But one thing I know that anyone who's interested in doing this will need is money. I mean, that was, it's not a cheap endeavor. Like you said, I think we're already seeing a lot of good return on investment, and it's one of those, hopefully, you know, spend money to make money situations. And again, it's our first year. We have a lot of good leads on the fundraising end, but we definitely needed some seed money to get started. And so one of the maybe most unique things about this whole process was all of this was funded by donor money, was funded by private money. We're a state institution. So all of this was funded by private dollars. And our fundraising director, Jill Orr, and our dean worked with one donor specifically who had expressed an interest in supporting the college and our marketing work and maybe doing like a signature event. And we're able to secure a large gift that helped us fund not only this event, but some of our other brand activation tactics we've done.
Yeah.
And I think that's really unique in my experience to have a donor support marketing work. That was a huge asset and boost to us doing this work. And I think the last thing I'll say is, and we've mentioned her already, like having an event producer on your team is key. Like Emily took all the strategic direction that we provided and ran with it. Also, this was Emily's first year on the job when she was planning everything. And
wow.
and she killed it.
Crazy first project.
I know. And she killed it. And like her background's in theater. And so hopefully, Safi, you can share some links to what our set looked like and everything. But it was, I mean, I think it blew people away. It blew me away. The set design, it was just very professional. And that's exactly what we were going for. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you all for sharing. I think that's, again, wanting to, as we think about, as things are rapidly changing in how we appeal community, also how we invigorate and just connect with students, having something that just feels so full circle and so intentional was just, when I heard about it, I was like, that's what we got to talk about, because to turn that one keynote into all these really intentional activations, it just makes it stronger. And especially, I can't speak for the donor, but I can imagine that they feel like this is such an amazing opportunity, and that their dollar and that their donation and support really stretched, because it wasn't just a one and done thing. It's now professional educational experiences that so many students, faculty, and community members get to walk away with, where, you know, it could have just been a sold out keynote, right? It could have just been that. So thank you all for sharing today. I really appreciate having you all on the show. Folks, you heard it here. You can turn a keynote into curriculum, whether that is a service day or mozzarella ice cream. So however creative you can get with your keynotes, we heard it from Allie and Nash. Go forth, make your keynotes great, atomize them, and also remember to keep walking the walk and talking the tactics. Thanks for listening to Talking Tactics. If you want to try out the tactics you heard on today's show, you get a full 10 from me, and I would love to hear about how you made them your own. You can find me by searching Safaniya, Safaniya on LinkedIn. You know, there's not many Safaniyas on there, so you'll be able to see me. And if you're enjoying Talking Tactics, please rate and review the show. The overachiever in me needs your feedback, and I'll certainly use it for confirmation or, optimization, depending on the review. And finally, if you just can't get enough great podcasts, the Enrollify Podcast Network delivers, with an amazing selection of other marketing and admissions-based podcasts just for you. Visit Enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com. See you next time.